तो दोस्तों, जब आप एथलीट्स को देखते हैं किसी रेस में, रेस का जो लास्ट लैप होता है ना, उसको हम एंकर लैप कहते हैं, एंकर लेग कहते हैं। वो जो लास्ट लैप है बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है, बहुत सिग्निफिकेंट है यदि एक एथलीट एक गोल्ड मेडल टारगेट कर रहा है। और उसी तरह से यूपीएससी की जर्नी में जो लास्ट लैप है, जो लास्ट लेग है इस जर्नी का, वो है इंटरव्यू स्टेज। दोस्तों, आप सबका इस वीडियो में बहुत ज्यादा स्वागत है। मेरा नाम है कुबेर और मेरे साथ हैं, क्योंकि हमने इंटरव्यू गाइडेंस की बात करी है, सो मेरे साथ हैं मास्टर मेंटर मिस्टर वरुण खुल्लर। हेलो सर, वरुण सर, हाउ आर यू सर? And Varun sir has been mentoring thousands of aspirants from the last 15 years, specifically in the interview stage. So, अभी बहुत ज्यादा क्यूरियोसिटी होती है सर, मतलब बच्चे अभी मेंस लिख के हटे हैं, मेंस का भी रिजल्ट आएगा इवेंचुअली इन अ कपल ऑफ वीक्स, एंड देन उसके बाद बहुत सारे बच्चे हैं जो कि इंटरव्यू गाइडेंस प्रोग्राम के लिए इधर उधर लाइक दे विल बी सीकिंग गाइडेंस एंड एडमिशंस हियर एंड देयर। नाउ मैं ये समझना चाहता हूं सर, although I have been a part of UPSC journey, and I want to understand from you sir, and also for the sake of our aspirants, why is this interview stage very important?
Okay. So, in simple terms, when you talk about the UPSC preparation, right, the amount of marks you can get in the interview stage are perhaps higher in percentage terms. And if you see, if you have seen how the toppers have been performing, so a lot of toppers have even got more than 200 marks in the interview.
Right.
Now, here lies the 200 marks. You will not get in any single paper of UPSC, whether it might be ethics, right? You'll see maximum marks being 140, even in essays 160. I think one of Vikram got 160 a few years ago, right? Except a few students who are like nearly that. Nobody would ever reach that number.
Right.
So the interview marks pretty much decide whether you are in the allied services, you're in IRS, or you're in the IPS, or you are in the IAS.
Right.
And even if, let's say, you have cleared the interview, the mains marks, mains by not a lot of marks, you still can make it to the final lists, right? And which will be a great confidence booster for you, right? If you actually score well in the interview.
right. सर, ऐसे भी अभी बहुत सारे एस्पिरेंट्स होंगे जिनका ना फर्स्ट टाइम उन्होंने मेंस लिखा है, एंड ऑफ कोर्स बहुत सारे एस्पिरेंट्स हैं जो ऑलरेडी 2-3 बार इंटरव्यू दे के भी आए होंगे, जो सीनियर एस्पिरेंट्स हैं, बट देयर मस्ट बी मेनी एस्पिरेंट्स आई एम श्योर जिनका पहली बार मेंस हुआ है, और उनको ना बहुत क्यूरियोसिटी है, उनको जैसे कि एक फोबिया सा भी आता है माइंड में कि यार इंटरव्यू में होगा क्या, कि इंटरव्यू में 5-6 लोग बैठे होंगे, वो क्या करने वाले हैं, वो कहाँ से आते हैं, हाउ सिग्निफिकेंट डज इट रियली मैटर कि इंटरव्यू बोर्ड में कितने लोग हैं? डज इट रियली मैटर कि हमको पता होना चाहिए इंटरव्यू बोर्ड में कौन आ रहा है, कौन नहीं आ रहा, और उसके अकॉर्डिंगली इंटरव्यू की तैयारी करें?
Right. So what normally happens in the interview room is that there are 5 people and the member of the UPSC, and he invites normally there's a couple of senior bureaucrats. One person normally is from the academia, so normally from JNU or IIT or some esteemed college. There will be one person from the army normally. So, all of them together. What it does is that because there are 5 people, the interview length seems longer than you would ever feel in any interview in your life.
Right.
Plus, even if you have gone for your college placements, there's only 1 or 2 people interviewing you.
Right.
So it becomes a lot easier for you to handle that.
Right.
So, when you're speaking, somebody is listening to you, that's fine.
Right, sir.
But that person has asked the question.
Correct.
On the other hand, there are 4 other people who are just judging you.
Right.
So, in very simple terms, it's a very unfair place to be in.
Right.
Because, it's 5 against 1, whatever you might say.
Right.
And they already know the answer to the questions they are and they know what they want to hear.
Right.
So it's tricky for you.
Right.
And that's I would feel that's what makes the interview part very difficult.
So सर, जैसे कि एक लड़का डेट पे जा रहा है ना, उसको ज्यादा नर्वसनेस होती है ना, जैसे कि बम्बल पे, टिंडर पे किसी लड़की के साथ मैच हुआ तो बहुत एक्साइटमेंट होती है, नर्वसनेस होती है, क्या उससे ज्यादा लेवल का एक्साइटमेंट और नर्वसनेस होता है जब इंटरव्यू के लिए जाना होता है?
Okay, so if you think about it, let's say you're from Kerala, and let's say Tamil Nadu, you might even be from Andaman, for that matter, right? And you're traveling to Delhi to take the interview. The travel itself will create the nervous energy in you. So the distance you're traveling to reach the interview room that itself. A lot of us, what they do, we used to just stay in Delhi and prepare at that place. Even then, it doesn't really help.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, going till Dholpur house on that day, how, physically or mentally well you are at that time, the date you get the interview, because the interview dates can be from February till, let's say, April, May.
Right.
So, the main trick becomes is that, okay, when would you get your interview date? So that itself is pressure. So when I would say that, okay, when the first time you propose a girl, and at that time, you're waiting for the girl's answer.
Right.
It is comparable to that, maybe more than that.
Right.
Obviously, I would say that when you're nervous, when you really want the other person to like you back. Right. That is what you feel that day.
लेकिन सर डेटिंग में होता है ना कि लड़की शायद मे बी अपना ओपिनियन रिकंसिडर करती है 5-6 महीने के बाद कि इसको हाँ कह देती तो अच्छा था, लेकिन यूपीएससी आपको उसी वक्त बता देता है कि आपको हाँ कहे कि ना कहे.
Yeah, so they're very cordial in the interview room.
Right.
Okay, so that is the most dangerous thing about the interview.
Right.
They will not make you feel that you've done badly.
Right.
So a lot of us, what happens is when we, people who have taken the interview before or have taken mocks, right, as well. So they will say that mocks are not similar to the real thing. The reason is that, they are very cordial and they're not trying to improve you.
Right.
In the interview room.
Right.
They want you to be yourself. Right, and they want to just judge you on that, whether you're suitable for a career in civil services or not.
Right.
And they mark you on that. They might love you, they might like you.
Right.
I'll give you the example of Shekhar sir.
All right.
Shekhar sir was totally loved by the interview panelists.
All right.
But he didn't score as high as he, could have.
Right.
Right. The reason was that, they're judging you on very different parameters. You might be a wonderful human being, but that's nothing to do with you being a very able civil servant.
I get that.
Right. So here, that is the main problem in this, that you need to prepare accordingly to that level. That that happens.
Right. Right, sir. यहाँ पे आपने सर ने एक बहुत अच्छी बात कही है that you might be a good human being, but does that guarantee you becoming a good civil servant? ये dichotomy समझनी बहुत जरूरी है. Which brings me to the next question for the benefit of our viewers. सर गाइडेंस लेनी ही क्यों है, इंटरव्यू गाइडेंस? क्योंकि जैसे कुछ एस्पिरेंट्स कहते हैं कि सर वहां पे जाके बातें ही करनी है ना. कुछ लोग होते हैं बहुत आउटस्पोकन होते हैं, मेरे जैसे तो कुछ ज्यादा ही बोलते रहते हैं, लेकिन चलो एनी हाउ. लेकिन कुछ लोग बहुत आउटस्पोकन है और वो कहते हैं यार कि गाइडेंस क्यों लेनी है, बस अपने आप यूट्यूब पे वीडियोस देख के और थोड़ा बहुत ना अपना डाफ वगैरह पढ़ के हो जाएगा काम. सो व्हाट इज द इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ इंटरव्यू गाइडेंस?
ओके, सी द problem of UPSC interviewers, you would have never faced an interview like that.
Right.
That is the first thing that, even if I was saying, okay, I'm from a computer science engineering, so if let's say Microsoft or Google, big companies are coming to and they're like giving packages above 50 lakhs and so, right? And we're preparing for those. So we prepare for years to do that. Right. Because we know very well that I need to be the best in the business in that area to be able to get through. Right, and I would prepare specifically of the type of questions they're asking and so on. So I would say that even like the World Cup is going on right now. So you don't play the same way you play with South Africa. You don't play the same way you play with New Zealand. It's different, right? You have to plan accordingly. And
with Afghanistan, because Afghanistan is right.
See, Afghanistan has to spinners, right? So you have to prepare accordingly with them, right? So you cannot, so in the same way, this is a I believe that it is comparable to any very, very tough interview you would have given in your life. If you have taken any interviews before, I'll say it will rank at the top of it. Right. Because they will listen very carefully. Right. And anything you slip, so I used to joke about the fact आपने एक slip किया, slip of tongue हुआ आपसे 10 नंबर नहीं गए.
Right.
So that is what we used to say that, okay, so we normally say that अगर आपका behavior अच्छा है तो 165, उससे ऊपर आपको perform करना पड़ता है. But अगर 165 से नीचे है तो आपने कुछ किया है. So आपने क्या किया वो डिस्कस करें, बट आपने कुछ किया है.
मतलब वो एक यूपीएससी के बोर्ड को एक रेड फ्लैग दिख गया. जैसे हम डेट पे जाते हैं ना, लड़की को रेड फ्लैग दिख जाता है कि ओह दिस इज अ रेड फ्लैग, वन आर्म डिस्टेंस. तो सर ये कहना क्या सच रहेगा कि यूपीएससी इंटरव्यू का जो प्रोसेस है, जो वहां पे मेंबर्स बैठे हैं, इज इट दैट हमको इंटिमिडेट करते हैं वो? इज इट लाइक वुड इट बी नाइस टू से और वाइज टू से, आई वुड से, कि घबराना, एंग्शियस होना, इंटिमिडेटेड फील करना, डज दैट रियली हैपन?
It used to, I would say they were the members. Some members were like that in the previous generation, but not so. They're very cordial. You not even feel कि interview खत्म हो गया. And that is the biggest problem, because you might have said something which actually pegs you back. Right. Because a cordial interview, I say a stressful interview is 100 times better than a cordial one.
Right.
A cordial interview, you do not know when you loosen up and when you say something that you should not have said. Because when you're discussing with your friends, a lot of things are okay to say. Here you are talking to people with 30, 40 years of experience.
Right.
In the same genre they're talking about.
Right.
Like, let's say you're discussing the Israel-Palestine issue.
Yeah.
And that person is a foreign services officer and was an ambassador, let's say, in that area only.
Right.
So he would know so much detail, so much nuances.
Right.
You're discussing with him. So you need to make sure that you are correct.
Right.
And you have the right stance there.
Right.
Right. So there is like a big problem, I would say, that you need to figure out.
Right. So, I mean, that's a very interesting insight which Varun sir is offering here. Sir, एक बार ना for the benefit of our viewers, चाहे आप प्री की तैयारी कर रहे हैं, मेंस की कर रहे हैं, यार कभी तो इंटरव्यू देने जाओगे, ऐसा तो सोचना ही चाहिए ना. हम सारे तैयारी करते हैं तो ये सोचते हैं कि कभी हम भी टाई पहन के यूपीएससी के ऑफिस के बाहर कोई इंस्टा पे या व्हाट्सएप पे फोटो डालेंगे, और ये सबका सपना होता है एंड ये हम रिलेट कर पाते हैं. लेकिन एक बार सर थोड़ा ना बेनिफिट ऑफ द व्यूअर्स के लिए, जैसे कि अगर हम थोड़ा डिकोड कर सकें इंटरव्यू प्रिपरेशन को, आई वुड सर एक बार रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा अगर आप पूरा इंटरव्यू प्रिपरेशन का जो स्ट्रक्चर है अगर आप एक बार डिकोड करके हमको समझा सके फॉर द बेनिफिट ऑफ आवर व्यूअर्स.
Okay, so just to talk about the interview preparation, the two facets of it, right? So one is we need to focus on a personality development. Right now we are in November, let's say, right? And now we have still enough time to work on our personality. We still have enough time to be very thoroughly prepared without any pressure, right? Once the mains, the results come, what happens is the pressure comes in. Suddenly everything changes. It's just like, once you have taken, once January hits, you suddenly realize, okay, pre ki tayari karni hai. It's the same as that. So personality development is one portion that everybody needs to focus on. Now, a lot of people, you might have heard whenever you prepare for UPSC, people say it is a personality development course. The reason for that is the kind of diversity UPSC teaches. You study international relations, you study Indian society, you study history, you study polity, you study governance, you study ethics, which you might not have studied ever, right? And you might find it totally European in some ways. Now, all that is happening, you're reading diverse views. So, all of you who've taken mains have a lot of knowledge. But what you require right now is to be able to talk about that in an interview room. Now, I'll give you an example very quickly. Now, let's say everybody would have studied the revolt of 1857. Now, in the prelims, the question is match the following, that which, a person, which leader, you match the following, Tantia Tope with Gwalior, and Rani Lakshmi Bai with Jhansi, and you do a match the following like that. On the other hand, in the mains, the question would be, what were the administrative changes after the revolt of 1857? Right? Standard question has come in UPSC. In the interview room, they will discuss some quote by James Outram or somebody like that, which says that whether it was a Sepoy mutiny or whether it was a conspiracy of the Hindus or so and so. Now, the discussion is very different from you writing an answer. You get time to write an answer. Here you need to be instantly replying. Hence, we normally say that, what we used to do during our time, we used to create presentations on various topics. Okay, so we used to do presentations on various topics which we expect can be asked to us. Okay, so what we used to do is create a list of questions on, let's say, my optional, right? And I used to create a presentation on those. Okay, what kind of questions can be asked based on my optional. In the same way, I'll create for my hometown. And the same way, I'll do it for other paths as well. So what we used to do is that, okay, 1 day, 1 week, so the whole month of October has passed. So what are the major things that happened in October? So Israel-Palestine issue has happened. So, what should I do personally? I should create a question bank, a question answer bank for myself on the Israel-Palestine issue. So let's say I'm from PSI background. Is it possible for somebody to talk to me about that? Maybe possible. So maybe I prepare on that. Okay. So what I need to do is create some kind of content for myself. After that, the second part is I need to rehearse this. Okay. So I need to rehearse what I have made. So these days it's easier. During our time, we didn't have such fancy phones. These days it's easier. What you do, make a presentation, right? And then just make somebody else ask those questions to yourself, and just see how you are replying to them.
Right.
And you see your body language, you see how you are replying. Okay, it might not simulate the interview or a mock, but it still would still prepare you, okay, how well you are answering a question. And that is something that is seen as a start of preparation. So we used to give presentations to each other during our time, which used to stand in the class, and all the mains people who have taken mains, they used to sit in the class, and each one of us used to come and take presentations and of any various topics. I did it in the Silicon Valley because I was from IT background.
Right.
Right. Depending on the background you're from.
Right.
We used to do presentations based on our profile, etc.
Right.
So that is the first area that we used to say that, okay, do this. Okay. The other thing we used to do is that read something extra in your optional. Like if you have anthropology, read Sapiens. If you're PSIR, read the book by Jayashankar.
Right.
Right. So pick up some related books which you might say extra, just say India after Gandhi or something like that, which you might not have read during this period. Also, this period is supposed to be used to prepare those areas where you haven't prepared before. Like during the first attempt, I couldn't really prepare art and culture that well.
Right.
So we did that.
Right.
So.
Right. By the way, let me also tell you that Varun sir wears many hats. He's an ex-bureaucrat. He's also an alumni of IIT and as well as alumni of IIM Kolkata as well. So as far as strategy is concerned, as far as making presentations is concerned, so I'm sure Varun sir has been making these presentations and PPTs much before most of you have been born as well. So which brings me to a very strategic point over here, which is that कि सर ये तो बात तय है कि एक स्ट्रेटेजिक तैयारी करनी इंटरव्यू के लिए बहुत जरूरी है. ऐसा नहीं है कि सुबह उठे, ब्रश किया, टाई पहनी और चले गए.
It's too risky, I would say.
Right. Which means कि चाहे प्रीलिम्स है, चाहे मेंस है, चाहे इंटरव्यू है, you have to have a targeted strategic guidance mentorship. And now, of course, there are many other channels, there are many modes, there are many channels, many academies जो कि इंटरव्यू गाइडेंस प्रोग्राम करते हैं. But sir, I believe that अगर हम STP classes की बात करें, we have a record. We have a record that consistently from the last 6 years, we have produced not only toppers from the grassroots as far as our content is concerned, जिन्होंने हमारे content का फायदा उठाया है, but also benefited immensely from these interview guidance program which Varun Khullar sir leads. सर अब यहाँ पे एक पर्सपेक्टिव आता है, जैसे आपने PSIR की बात करी, जैसे आपने भी इजराइल हमास कन्फ्लिक्ट की बात करी. नाउ एज एन एस्पिरेंट, अब जैसे GS का मैं सिलेबस पढ़ता हूँ या लेट्स से मेरा ऑप्शनल मे बी सम टेक्निकल बैकग्राउंड का है, व्हाट रोल डज माय academic content plays in the interview? अगर मैंने GS की बात करूं या अपने ऑप्शनल की बात करूं, वो कंटेंट जो मैंने पढ़ा है, इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन या साइक्लोन्स के बारे या प्लानिंग कमीशन के बारे, नीति आयोग के बारे, वो सब चीजें कैसे यहाँ पे रेलेवेंट आती है?
So see, the diversity of things that you're learning, what it does is it opens your mind to new knowledge.
Right.
So what happens is that when you've read history, you've read geography, etc., you're able to take in new ideas easily. And that is one of the qualities that we are expecting, right, as a civil servant. Further, it allows you to be a person who thinks about things, right? And think about things in terms of, obviously, we would want you to think as an administrator, but that will happen gradually once you join, right? You don't need to be that person initially. But what is, you seem to be a person who is idealistic, right? And normally used to say that, during our time that, yaar ek kaam karo, please, patriotic songs की playlist बनाओ और वही सुनो. कुछ दिन playlist change करो, सिया विया बंद करो, दिलजीत दोसांझ बंद करो, और right, let's put all the patriotic songs, and just because I say that, whatever goes inside your brain, right? Brain is a tool. Right. So whatever goes inside your brain, what will happen is that it will reply like that only. Right. So patriotism is like, when you're feeding it again and again, what will happen is that, it will come out.
Each and every cell of our body, वो एक dopamine level होता है ना सर, जैसे वो dopamine kick मिलता है उसका.
It will come out very easily in the interview room, and that is preferred, obviously. Right. You're preparing for the Indian Civil Services, right? UPSC is selecting people for that. So hence they would want a person who is a patriot.
I get that.
Right. So that I would say that would really help.
Right. Fair enough, sir. Fair enough. Now एक और मतलब एक इंटरेस्टिंग बात, जैसे ना सर ने भी यहाँ पे बात कही कि अगर हम अपनी बॉडी लैंग्वेज की बात करें, हम अपने सिटिंग पोस्चर की बात करें ना, बहुत सारे एस्पिरेंट्स क्या सोचते हैं, because I have been on that side as well when I was preparing for UPSC, कि मुझे जब इंटरव्यू में जाना है तो मुझे ना एक स्ट्रेट फेस बना के जाना है और एक ब्यूरोक्रेट की तरह एक्ट करना है, जैसे हम मूवीज में देखते हैं ब्यूरोक्रेट्स को, या हम रियल लाइफ में देखते हैं दैट दे टॉक वेरी सटल वे में, दे सीम टू बी वेरी कंजर्वेटिव, दे डोंट appear to be very outgoing. अब आजकल के जो नए बच्चे जो ब्यूरोक्रेट्स बन रहे हैं उनके तो खैर वो तो इन्फ्लुएंसर ज्यादा हैं, ब्यूरोक्रेट्स कम है, लेकिन मैं आज से 15-20 साल पुराने ब्यूरोक्रेट्स की बात कर रहा हूँ, तो हमको लगता था कि हमको ना एक बहुत स्ट्रेट फेस बना के जाना है। तो अच्छा ये बात आप बच्चों को समझाएं कि क्या उनको ब्यूरोक्रेट बन के आना है इंटरव्यू के लिए, या उनको वो अपना इंसान, अपनी इंडिविजुअलिटी ही लेके आनी है इंटरव्यू के लिए?
See, okay, so try to appreciate the fact that those people have 30-40 years of experience. They will see if you are, even if you look like being trained, they will know it in a second.
Right.
They have seen life. So I normally say be natural, be yourself.
Right.
In your replies, do not become too conservative. Right. Obviously give your view. Right. You do not need to be in the extremes. You cannot be too conservative. You're not sitting with your uncle, auntie in your drawing room.
Right.
So remember that you have to somewhere in the middle. You are talking to people who have a lot of experience in this area that you're talking about. They pretty much know the correct answer, right? And if they're asking you a question, they don't themselves know the answer, the solution perhaps doesn't exist, right? Or hasn't come, the time hasn't come for the solution that way, right? Let's say somebody is talking about the Kashmir issue, right? Nobody really knows the answer.
Nobody, yes, absolutely.
So Israel-Palestine, right? Couple of thousand years, I think is going on. So who has a solution for that? So if they're asking you a solution, they're looking for your passion, your depth of interest, they're looking at your qualities, right? And it's seeing a future bureaucrat in you. Right. So if you're getting high marks, is that they easily can imagine a bureaucrat in you across time. Right. So that is the reason. So I always say don't become conservative. A lot of people do, and that's why they score low marks. Right. They become timid in the interview room instead of giving your views. They know the answer. They're not answering. Right. So जो गलत है वो गलत है, बोलो. Right. Nobody's going to say anything wrong about that. If they even cross question you, answer like a patriot. Right. That what is good for my country, I should try to do that. Right. तो मतलब for the benefit of the viewers जो पहली बार इंटरव्यू देने जा रहे हैं, तो दोस्तों जो आपका इंटरव्यू ले रहे हैं वो मार्स से, जुपिटर से, सैटर्न से, इन सब ग्रहों से नहीं आ रहे हैं, वो यहीं से हमारे अर्थ से ही हैं। इंसान है जैसे हम हैं, वैसे जैसे आप हैं, जैसे हमारे पेरेंट्स हैं। वो बातचीत तो करनी है लेकिन एक नुआंस तरीके से बातचीत करनी है, क्योंकि उनका तजुर्बा, आपने तो 4 किताबें अभी पढ़ ली हैं, लेकिन उन्होंने ऐसी कितनी किताबें पढ़ के अप्लाई किया है अपनी ब्यूरोक्रेटिक लाइफ में। तो एक नुआंस्ड एक अप्रोच की बात आती है, विच इज वाई मैं यहाँ पे फिर आपको रिट्रेट करना चाहूंगा कि जब नुआंस्ड अप्रोच की बात आती है तो गाइडेंस की रेलेवेंस बहुत ज्यादा बनती है। यू कांट जस्ट थिंक कि आज दिन सुबह उठ के हम जाते हैं, अरे आजकल तो सर डेटिंग कोचेस भी हैं, कि डेट पे जाने से पहले बंदे फोन करते हैं कि सर मैंने डेट पे जाना है, क्या पहन के जाऊं, क्या कौन सा परफ्यूम लगाऊं, एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा। इट काइंड ऑफ हेल्प्स यू, राइट? व्हाट हैपेंस इज दैट ओके, वी टॉक अबाउट द फैक्ट एवरीबॉडी हैज कॉमन सेंस, राइट? सबको पता है इंटरव्यू में क्या करना है, सबको पता है, राइट? फैक्ट ये, राइट? But what happens is when we are in pressure, when we are nervous, we tend to lose it, right? So we just need a calming hand. And that is what the interview program is all about. Yes. A calming hand on your head and on your shoulder that don't worry, you know it. Right. And that's enough most of the time, I feel, right? Because, a lot, as you said initially, that सबको पता तो है इंटरव्यू में, मैंने और भी तो इंटरव्यूज, प्लेसमेंट्स भी तो हुई हैं, प्लेसमेंट्स में, एब्सोल्युटली, राइट? बट हाउ इज इट डिफरेंट इज दैट द प्रेशर इज हाई, एंड आल्सो वन थिंग इज दैट you're not your natural self that day, right? Because of the fact there's so much pressure on you, right? It's a culmination of, let's say, 3-4 years of preparation, maybe more than that. Maybe you're working somewhere and you have actually taken leave and fought with 5 people to come here, right? A lot of people have that struggle, right? So if that is happening to you, being your natural self is hard, and I would say that people who are the natural selves normally would score high than they would if they are not. Right, so I would say that an interview program is perhaps more important and more fulfilling than any other course in like prelims, mains. I think interview prep is most important. Most important.
सर जैसे वो अंग्रेजी में कहावत है कि ignorance is a bliss. क्या कह सकते हैं सर, जैसे इंटरव्यू में भी ignorance is a bliss? I mean कुछ पर्टिकुलर एरियाज में इन लाइफ
Yes, because you don't need to answer everything.
Right.
All right. At the end of the day, you don't have all the knowledge on your
Right.
tips. At that time, when you're answering in the interview room,
Mhm.
further, okay. Now, the biggest problem these days is a lot of YouTube videos are there about various toppers. Now, try to appreciate the fact that that topper has nothing in common with you.
Mhm.
Okay, right? Let's say I'm a computer science engineer from so
Right.
and so college and etc. Do I gain anything from somebody who's not? I mean, let's say there's some wonderful person who's also giving an interview and is
हाँ जी.
answering really well,
Right.
but he has nothing in common with me. Can I speak like that? No. Can I really learn too much from him? Not too much. Oh, I can learn from somebody who's very similar to I am.
Right.
Right? What I am, similar background, similar, right? So I think we need to choose that
Right.
in today's era also, right? We're trying to watch everything.
हाँ जी.
It really doesn't help.
It really does not. Absolutely. It doesn't really help. सर एक बार कंक्लूडिंग नोट्स पे सर हमारे स्लीपी क्लासेस के इंटरव्यू गाइडेंस प्रोग्राम के बारे कुछ चंद अगर आप बातें बता सके क्योंकि बच्चे अभी कुछ हफ्तों में मेंस का रिजल्ट आएगा तो फिर दे विल बी
Yeah,
देखेंगे.
definitely.
Yeah.
So, what we will be doing is we will be doing a DAF analysis for each and every one of you, and that is our major focus initially, right? And obviously, we'll focus on the interviews, do's and don'ts. This is the first part, and the third part is obviously we'll have mock interviews and so.
Right.
Right. So these are going to be the three areas. Okay. How we are supposed to get through, we'll open the website in a bit and we'll talk about that after some time. But before all that, let's look at what we'll pick up a DAF and we try to analyze.
Right. तो सर ये डाफ है अंजलि बिरला जी का जो कि एक ब्यूरोक्रेट है. अंजलि बिरला जी को हम सब जानते हैं, ओम बिरला जी के डॉटर हैं. तो सर इसके बारे थोड़ा एक्सप्लेन करेंगे डाफ के बारे.
Okay, so let's just look at what a typical DAF looks like. So, most of you would have filled DAF 1. We'll have a look at DAF 2, and obviously we'll have a session on DAF 2 as well. But briefly, we'll just quickly talk. So, how are you supposed to prepare? Now, the first thing here is, okay, the first thing we look at is where you're from. Okay, so I have to prepare this region, right? The state and the district I'm from. Anything special that has happened in that district? Is it known for? So if I was from Kota, suicides, right? Student suicides, what mental health issues. Those things I would expect the person to prepare upon. Obviously, I should have some basic data, sex ratio, etc. Right? The size of district, what are the various industries here, some famous personalities from Kota, etc. And this can be any city, right? It can be Chandigarh, it can be Ludhiana, it can be Trivandrum, it can be Andaman Nicobar, Lakshadweep, Arunachal, doesn't matter, right? Okay. Normally, they don't really ask you questions on your father's profession and all, right? They might have a conversation, but normally they don't because the interview is about you, right? Okay. Okay, that's going down. Okay, what they will do is they will talk about, what you have studied, and that is, let's say you've done BA honors in political science, or let's say in my case, I did information technology or computer science engineering. So, what are the standard questions that are expected on PSIR in an interview room? What can easily be discussed? So they'll be obviously talking about those. So some theoretical preparation has to be done. So what we normally say is that obviously at CB classes, what we do is normally we create a list of probable questions which will be sent to you. Right, on the topic, right, and what current affairs which are expected out of this. Special sessions also are taken by our faculty. Prerna ma'am took one in Delhi last year, right? So this check is right. So we'll have special sessions on the subject itself. Further, after this, the next thing we will look at is sometimes what happens is they may even obviously some specifics, some special things in their name. So I remember one of our students, Utsav. He in the interview room, Peck was made to into a Deemed University very recently, right? Punjab Engineering College, Chandigarh. So they asked them, what is a Deemed University? How is it different? Okay, so they pick up something, right, randomly. Okay, just to check, whether you're ready for the interview or not. Okay, then obviously state-wise we talk about, but here comes something which is important. Okay, right? Something which you have to prepare very thoroughly, something you have checked, because I believe that the easiest way to check anyone is to check his hobby. Personality, if I want to see, okay, how is somebody, okay, पढ़ाई हो सकती है आपको पसंद ना हो सकता है आपके पापा ने कहा आपको पढ़ने को IIT, पापा भी IITian थे, आप भी बड़े हैं, पापा IAS हैं इसलिए आप भी ट्राई कर रहे हैं, हो सकता है किसी और your girlfriend wants you to become an IAS officer, whatever be the reason. Maybe you want to free yourself from the shackles of patriarchy as a female, and therefore you want to become an officer. It can be various reasons to prepare. My mother wants, so many reasons. But the hobby you have, there's no pressure for you to choose. Okay, so the various types of hobbies we say. So one, obviously, are passive hobbies. Okay, you'll find those interviews in which questions are asked on, okay, so what do you like to do? So I like to watch documentaries and movies. Okay, then they ask you, okay, which are the favorite movies? Why is a famous movie? What do you learn from it? There's some kind of conversation happening there. So what are they trying to do when they're doing that? They are basically trying to check your personality there. Okay, but they're active hobbies also, like dancing, right? There's a lot of them, Bharatanatyam, a lot of girls, right? They do painting, right? So passive and active hobbies, both. Normally, active hobbies are seen as better, right? I saw a lot of people, even faking hobbies last year. I saw a few which looked fake, clearly well prepared, but fake. And remember, if I can catch you, the people who are in UPSC they will not say it,
right,
but they will know it.
right,
Because because everyone is having the similar hobby,
Right.
it doesn't happen that way.
right,
If
right.
there's something similar, during our time, a very popular fake hobby used to be diary writing. These days, what it is, I'll not talk about it.
Right,
But
right.
okay, so you will have there's very interesting hobbies like mandala drawing, all those things. You'll find that okay, it looks a little unique, right? So those kind of things. Okay, there can be other questions asked on, let's say, any of these. Also, we have to prepare basketball in case, let's say, handball here, right? And let's say, what is an actor's? Well, some basic questions on this. Okay, and what did you do in this? Because you're the project head. What did you? So in case I was helping her prepare, I'll say, okay, letter writing. Okay, so this can go anywhere. Right? I can relate it to her optional, which is sociology. What is the significance of letter writing in sociology? Right? Can you talk about a thinker who used to write letters? Right? So because you don't really need to answer that question, to be honest. But it just shows how depth of, what kind of depth of interest you have. Because one of the main things we check in the interview is your ability to think in the interview room and your depth of interest in anything you are doing in your life. Because a civil servant by nature, we say that, they have a meraki. They really, really enjoy doing the things they do.
Right.
Right? They want to believe, and
Right.
whatever they do, they, you will not feel ki superficial hai.
Right.
Okay, so that is about the DAF. Obviously, we'll also be having a DAF 2 session in which
Right.
we will be discussing the other parts. Can we see it? Yeah. The other ones.
Yeah. So
this is, just to have an idea, this is the cadre options and the zones. All right. We will not be talking about that too much today, but this a separate session will be held for what kind of zones you like to pick, and which cadre you should fill for IS versus IPS. It is a discussion on this as well, and obviously the choosing various preferences.
Please do tell in the comment section if you want this staff session 2 as well. We'll try to bring it. We'll try to bring this session ASAP, as soon as possible. But if you're watching this video till this end, please do mention in the comment section as well. Right, sir. And sir, about हमारा जो sleepy classes का interview guidance program है, if you can just quickly walk through that.
Okay, so this is our website. As you can see, Prerna ma'am is there. Okay, and we have actually the various other panelists which there's interviews going on. This is the form. You can easily register here, right? And our team will obviously get back to you, right? In case it's to open, if we can. Okay, so just you need to put your name, roll number, phone, and you can upload your DAF and then your passport size photograph, and that's all you need.
And you
do.
have to submit it over.
And that's it. All right. So not that difficult to do. Right. And I think that's pretty much it from our side.
And friends, if any query regarding the interview program, please do also dial in the number 1800-890-3043. I'll repeat once again, 1800-890-3043. That's the number which you have to call, your one-stop solution for everything, pre, mains or interview. So thank you so much, Varun sir. Thank you so much for taking out your time, sir. And we'll see you soon on the other end. Thank you.